love of liberty, in the fires of hope and prayer, with boundless faith in our destiny, we solemnly declare. Side by side we stand, islands of the blue Caribbean Sea, this our native land. We pledge our lives to thee. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation. Here every creed and race find an equal place, and may God bless our nation.
Heavenly Father, we come before you at the start of this new day, giving thanks for life, for health, and the opportunity to serve through this station. We ask for your divine presence to guide us in all we do. Bless this broadcast, that it may be a source of inspiration, joy, and unity to all who tune in. Whether near or far, may our words uplift, our music heal, and our message bring light to those who need it most. We pray for our listeners, wherever they may be. Grant them strength for the day ahead, peace in their hearts, and success in all they put their hands to. Cover those traveling with your protection, and those at home with your comfort and provision. Lord, may everything we do bring honor to you and be a blessing to others. Guide our steps, bless our efforts, and let this station be a vessel of positivity and hope. In your name we pray. Amen.
Your voice, your soundtrack, your station. New Era TT Radio. Net Radio.
I'm telling you, I'm party until it rain, I'm dressing up in the red, white and black. I don't care what nobody say. Every carnival I done there. Plus I know all artists and all the mass bands. Them say I'm a Danaba. I'm telling you where I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. As a Trini, Popo Trini, because they know how Trini does look. And they like how Trini does cook. And they like to hear Trini talk. And they like Trini woman walk. And we make us company. Yeah, and we make us company. And we make us company. We don't dictate all the place, partner. We don't represent for we soca. We don't sell out all the strong liquor. We don't represent for we soca. Them say we mad and we bad. I'm telling you, where we from, we we're from Trinidad and Tobago. I's a Trini, Papa Trini, a Trini. Oh, cause they love how Trini does look. And they like how Trini does cook. And they like to hear Trini talk. And they love Trini woman walks. And we make us company. And we make us company.
Wake up, rise up. It's the Net Radio Breakfast Show, bringing you the energy, music, and vibes to start your day right.
And of course, that is exactly what we try to do each and every day. Make sure we start your day right. Good morning, everybody. Trinidad, Tobago, neighbors in the Caribbean, friends who are streaming all around the globe. Good day to you. And of course, welcome inside a brand new day that the Lord has made. 6 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on a good looking Thursday morning. Yes, it is. A throwback is the Thursdays. As always, I want to say much thanks to the Heavenly Father for bringing us together for another day. Everything that we do, dear God, let it be a blessing on to you. Sir Charles, that is me, and happy am I to be here with you in the land of the living. As we welcome you all wherever you may be, this is your Get Up and Go. Welcome to the Breakfast Show.
Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The breakfast show got the vibes turned on. From Maracas Bay to the Savannah line, let's start the day in Caribbean prime. Good vibes rolling through the air. The breakfast show, energy everywhere. We talk, we laugh, we make you think. Grab your morning drink.
It's Thursday morning. The weekend is virtually here. I don't know why I am always loving weekends, but you all know I love a weekend. And well, the show generally loves a weekend. So the weekend is almost here at midnight tonight. It goes into the weekend. The weekend begins. It's Thursday, and it's going to be a much better day weather-wise today than it was yesterday. Yesterday was a little bit rainy. A lot of the day kind of cleared up in the evening. But today will be a much better day. So put a smile on your face. The weekend is here. It's Thursday. So get yourself together and go out there and get what you need to get. By the way, good morning to everybody. Good morning to our listeners and viewers, wherever you are in Trinidad and Tobago, up the Caribbean, and of course across the planet, wherever you are watching and listening to us from. Welcome to the Breakfast Show this morning. And good morning, of course, to Wendell, Stephen, and Sir Charles, my co-hosts on this Thursday morning.
Good morning, Richard Ragobasing. Good morning, Sir Charles. And good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. And listeners all over the globe. It's an absolutely, as you said, beautiful Thursday morning. I actually walked through the rain. I got soaked yesterday. I walked through real rain yesterday. But yesterday was rainy weather, I guess, all over. But we're here, we're happy to be in the land of the living. Let me get my birthday greetings out of the way very early, because it's my sister's birthday, Nadia. Nadia, we grew up calling her Nadia, people call her Nadia. She is celebrating her birthday today, and today is also the birthday of Mariano Brown, one of the first guests we had. Yeah, I think.
It is Mariano's birthday.
Yes, today is also Mariano Brown's birthday, and Francis Powell, former alderman at the Port of Spain Corporation, he is also celebrating a birthday today, and Saeed Mohammed is also celebrating his birthday today. So, right.
Okay, so happy birthday to all of you, and of course a special happy birthday to you, Mariano Brown, who has been a guest and will surely be a guest again on the Breakfast Show, with his usual perspective of how he sees things. And he's very steadfast in his views. So good morning to you, Mariano.
Yes.
Brown.
And thanks to all you hundreds of people who join us, well, thousands now, who join us and watch us on a daily basis. And we've not gone under 1,000 views in a long, long time. Well, since we started, it's it's thousands of people joining this show every single day now, watching the show every single day now. And
Yes,
so
and
happy
thank
to-
you. And of course, thank you to all our viewers on M&E TV. And because we can, we'll play it.
Great news, Caribbean. The Breakfast Show is now on M&E TV, bringing you entertaining conversations, vital information, and influential perspectives throughout Trinidad and Tobago and across the Caribbean region. Catch us on Digicel Channel 20, Flow Channel 111, Amplia Channel 117, Blink Channel 109, Tricode Channel 154, and Airlink Channel 10. The Breakfast Show connects with the Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago like never before. We're now on M&E TV.
Yeah, on M&E
Yeah.
TV, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but up the Caribbean. And of course, so people up the Caribbean can watch us now and join in. And of course, we're starting to try and get more regional guests at times to make the show more regional in nature in terms of some of our guests. And we are trying to get regional people to trust us.
Yes,
Trust
we
us on that. And but yeah, so we are all over the place.
Yeah. What the show has decided to do, and they haven't given me the okay as yet, is to sponsor my trips up and down the Caribbean so that I can actually go and find these guests for
That request will languish in the boardroom.
I hope the directors listening this morning. Because they're always flying all over the place.
Oh my goodness.
But it's hard to judge, of course, when I say thousands, that I'm speaking strictly for YouTube and Facebook. So it's hard to judge how many others are actually watching us
on M&E TV, because we have
other devices.
so like M&E TV and on TuneIn. Well, listening to us on TuneIn, some people have mastered how to get us on smart devices. And of course, you can also listen to us at TuneIn by the TuneIn app and on, well, depending on if your vehicle has TuneIn in it, or you can use your phone to connect. You can listen to us via TuneIn in your car. So I know some people do that. So yeah, so we're all over the place. You can catch us wherever you want.
All over.
And if you miss us, you can always replay.
Yeah.
Via YouTube.
I know you want to go into the news, but let me say a special good morning to a listener, somebody who's been watching us, and I didn't even know until she reached out to me yesterday. Former, what was she? A master of the High Court.
Court administrator.
Court administrator, also to like you said, second in command to the Chief Justice, Christiane Morris Allen. Good morning, Christiane. So long I haven't heard from you. And she reached out to me yesterday. She said she's watching the show. So good morning.
So good morning, Christiane Morris Allen. Yeah.
Whatever part of the globe she's in now. Good morning, and I hope you continue to watch us and spread the word about this great show that this playwright and this DJ and this guy who's talked plenty is on.
All right, but I suppose that's good news, and it's a good segue into our good news segment for this morning.
Anyone that knows me well knows that there is only one place in Trinidad I go to really rest and reset, and that's Brasso Seco at the Coco Palace. Come take this trip with me. Day 1, start the morning right with yoga done by the wonderful Miss Leah Scott. A balanced breakfast is surely needed. And folks, this place is absolutely beautiful. Always make sure to enjoy your life. This river runs in the backyard, and I was there every morning and evening like clockwork. Day 2, rainy morning. Is that stopping my river run? Nope. This was our last day here, so we go out with our pan in the kitchen. If you've never had the Coco Palace experience, you need to. Trust me, it's the true definition of peace. Trinidad is a real place.
I don't know that place at all.
I don't know that at all. So I was saying, like, where Brazo Seco? The only time I remember Brazo, I mean, you know the name Brazo Seco. I've never been to Brazo Seco. It has been in a play. I mean, I know there was a play once we did, I think it was Men of Dogs, and the girl who had, certain, I don't want to say evil intents, was from Brazo Seco. and the son of the man, I was the son, and Glenn Davis was my father. And I was upset that he was in love with this girl who seemed like she was zoning in on the family's fortune. And I had a quarrel with her in the play. And I said, she claimed she's from Brazo Seco, right? And I said, she come from a place named after a polish.
Brazo. A lot of people don't know what is Brazo, right?
Some people.
Well, I can imagine quite a few of our listeners, but then somebody saying, "What is Brazo?"
Oh, God. No, this is a letter. So Brazo
This
is
is
still
a
around.
letter.
Yeah, Brazo is still around.
As a child, I had to use Brazo to clean a lot of this stuff home, because we had a lot of those little trinkets in the cabinet, and we used to have to use Brazo to clean it, and then it would shine.
Yep. It does what it's supposed to do. So I never heard of the Cocoa Palace, and so when I saw that, I was like, there's so many places in Trinidad and Tobago you just don't know about, and people find all of these,
Yes, Stephen Harper had a line once at a birthday line or something once, and I think it was in Brazo Seco.
Maybe it was there.
If you see the road to get there, Richard Ragubasi, if I wasn't well equipped, I wasn't going, But it was already there, and I said, "Well, I think it's Brazo Seco." But if you're listening, message me or Rosalind and tell me the place you all had that line was Brazo Seco.
I don't think I don't think I remember ever going to Brazo Seco. In fact, if you ask me where Brazo Seco is in Trinidad and Tobago map right now, I'm not so sure I can point out where it is.
But I use Waze, and I found it because I had to go through some hell of a road.
Yeah, and I'm sure maybe there are Brazo Seco listeners watching or no viewers, but I've just never been there. But it's a place it's a name but it's just not a place that you may have gone. But that was our good news. And also additional good news is one which I've neglected to remember and to state was that my niece, Sayana Dabo, is now Dr. Sayana Dabo, and she just graduated as a vet in the United States. Most of my family is actually abroad, and Sydney, my sister, and my niece, she's the eldest of them all, and she just graduated as a vet. So congratulations to you, Sayana Dabo, but Dr. Sayana Dabo. Remembering you as a little girl, me going with you, walking around, was it Baltimore? And that's when they used to live in Baltimore when she was born. When she was a little girl, and I would be holding her hand, and she'd do it, and there was a pool on the compound where they lived, and I'd be giving her little chats about, what about uncles tell nieces? I can't even remember. It was so many years ago. So I was so
she
proud.
Always liked animals, I guess.
Oh, he loves animals. Loves animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. This is obviously her calling.
Yeah.
So I want to say a big congratulations to you, Dr. Sayana Dabo, and I love you dearly. Mwah! Yes. That's the good news for today.
So Harper has confirmed it was their anniversary, and it was in fact Brazo Seco. Well, I went there once, and I ain't sure if I'm going back. It's far.
Maybe the roads have improved.
You think? I wonder what constituency that would fall. I think it's Arima.
I'm not so sure,
I think it was on that side, like going up.
It could be.
That side.
It could be. Yeah,
I think it's Arima. But
I've never been.
Yeah. Richard, I will send you some messages. Christian is messaging me as we speak. And she said she was listening to the show concerning the discussion on the UE campus.
Right.
She sends them some information. She has an opinion on that. So maybe
okay. Interestingly enough, I reached out to the principal of the UE, Professor Rosemary Bell Antoine, yesterday, and I told her that we would like to interview her and stuff. So she did respond, and she did tell me that she has no problem doing it. I was trying to get her for today, but she said she couldn't do it today. So certainly we will be speaking to her at some point. She is willing to come on to discuss what not only the general future goals of UE, what those goals are, and of course we can also weigh in on the baby campus and what their plans are for that. So it'll be an interesting conversation to have.
Yeah.
I know it was initially, and somebody had messaged me yesterday, and they said initially it was supposed to be a law campus. I remember that. And I think there was also a plan from UE to change that. This is what I heard from somebody. UE didn't tell me this. So they don't say I say UE say this. Somebody told me, and that they were now contemplating it, making it a global medical campus where you have a lot of international students coming in for medicine, that sort of thing. So there was a balancing back and forth about which one to do or something like that, a version of that. So, but as I said, that's what somebody told me, and I don't want to identify the person because they will say, what you call my name for? So,
and let me also say good morning to Ms. Faraya Hayatali. She's a teacher at Naparima Girls who also reached out to me concerning doing a program on noise pollution. So we try to get that also done for our listeners and viewers. I remember a caller message, someone messaged in the group the other day for something that we should check out. I didn't take a note of it, but I'm sure he's listening, and he had messaged about a particular topic that he would like us to cover. And we did see, and we also trying to do something, and we're doing a show tomorrow on intellectual property. That's the one we're doing tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because there's this case going on that we can't discuss because it may go to the appeal court, where a photographer took a picture of someone that the family then used without his permission, and he took it to court, and they didn't put in a defense, sadly, and he was awarded.
Well, it's Black Stalin. Everybody knows the case.
Well, I'm waiting on you to say. You're the lawyer,
it's public knowledge. It's in the media. It's the Black Stalin case. That photograph was taken of Black Stalin while he was performing by a photographer, and it was that photograph was then used by his wife, let's say his wife, and in promotion of something else, and the photographer objected and wanted some sort of, copyright recognition. And anyway, the matter ended up in court. And because wife of Black Stalin did not put in a defense, he got a judgment in default.
A default judgment.
Yeah, but I think she's now she's appealing that, I believe.
Yes.
So this caused a lot of commentary on social media. Because of course, some people, saying that it's his wife and it's the image of her husband. Why, even though some people may recognize that there may be copyright issues, some people are still saying, people are bringing ethical and humanitarian, human arguments into the issue, and of course, some people are understanding the point of view of the photographer. And some are not. Some are siding with the fact that it should be left alone because of the place that Leroy Callis, also known as Black Stalin, has in the cultural landscape of Trinidad and Tobago. It's causing quite a debate on social media. So, of course, in a general way, we will be discussing the whole issue of copyright tomorrow and how the issue of a photograph of you in a public space, especially if you're a public person, can become protected by the photographer who took the photo.
We'll get an idea how it works, because I honestly don't know how it works.
So we'll get that discussion on tomorrow. So that'll be an interesting discussion. And of course, we're going to try and take calls on that, because that's going to, fire up a lot of people who have a lot of opinions on this issue. A lot of people have opinions on this issue.
And who always on social media doing something and sharing something. You understand? And they don't understand the law or whatever governs it. I don't even know how it operates, so we'll find out from an expert tomorrow. So thank you to the folks who would have facilitated that interview for us. So they know who they are.
Yeah, so we look forward to that for tomorrow. But right now we want to get into greeting all of the people who came onto our platform from early o'clock this morning. I mean, woo, so many people came on. So can you start, Wendell?
Yes, at 12:20, Suzanne Jessup, blessing Sir Charles, Richard, Wendell, love always Suzanne, Suzette, and Miss Gemma. Melissa from Charlotte, Anthony Tinto out there in Ontario, Canada, Ozzy Molino, Brent Hackshaw, Arch Nemesis, Boy Bidesi from Debe, Carol Guevara, also from Chaguanas, Magic, Joyce Phillip, Ingrid from Tucson, Arizona, Marlon.
Good morning, Ingrid. Good morning, Marlon.
6 o'clock on the button. Cheryl Johnson, Sherwin Kerr from Arima, good morning to the breakfast team and all the listeners and viewers. Wayne Ramsey from Fort Lauderdale, Odell Guy, Donna Ramlo Chan, Lambert Bruce, Cheryl Seeley, Robert Taylor from Fernandina Beach in Florida, Ida Rizan, Pearl Cordis, Trinidad Margot from Florida, also David Wells from down in Diego Martin, Susie B, sound like a Calypsonian, Trini Gets Fit. The pre-weekend is here. Well, actually, the weekend here, Trini Gets Fit. Siobhan Chugan, Anthony Tinto, rain like what? Like gravel in Canada since yesterday. Claire Lendo Rollins, Romantic Intents, says, terrific Tuesday to all. Diane Payne, good morning, Net, and all the live chat. Julia Batiste, Brennan Smith, aka Beefy from Goodwood in Tobago, he's saying hi to his wife Carol. Joyce polishing a tin. Yes, that's what it was. But it wasn't like that. It was a liquid. It wasn't a solid thing, you know. Brasso was liquid, right, Richard?
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Yeah, I use it a lot. I used to burn your hand if you have a cut. Iron Bill, good morning, Wendell. Some of us still using Brasso to this day. It helps with elbow grease. You're sure right. Miguel Gonzalez, and Noel Lord. I was tortured as a child, you know. The kind of cleaning I used to be had to do.
It's between Blanches and Arima. So you see, and I have not been there, and it's that close to Arima.
Yes, it's Penelope Beckles Robinson that will come under her constituency. So
up Blanches Road.
Offering where it is, right?
Yeah.
Sterling Francois says, morning Sterling. Robert Harper, good morning, gentlemen. He's out there in St. Anne's. Carol Guevara says, she already said good morning to her. When the gentleman, women's rights and abuse in the workplace. That's what the gentleman messaged about, that we should get somebody to talk about that. Thanks, Island. Rena Jennings, Mrs. R, good morning. Cynthia Ramsarup, lots of people this morning. Andre Reno, Annie Bunyan says, good morning, guys.
Good morning, Annie.
James Kamau, Ron Ram, that's a new name also. Cheryl M, who else? Michael Robinson from Yokohama, Japan. Margaret Thomas, Ambrose Blau. Woo! Where do these people come from? Chris Toussaint, Margaret Thomas from Valencia, and Doreen Pierre. Oh, well, they had me busy today. I work for my money today.
So, yeah.
Get an invoice.
Let me also say good morning.
Hey, look, is this Cindy? Margaret Thomas. Say hello to Valencia, Cindy. Good morning, Cindy. We talked about you earlier this week, wasn't it this week?
Yeah, we never knew her name.
Yeah, we didn't know your government name.
Margaret, she sounded like a Margaret in Richard.
But Cindy, good morning.
What is Cindy? And Gavin Frank from Powder Magazine. I know Sir Sal's have some greetings.
Yeah. So let me say good morning to Archbishop Ashton Clark, First time I saw actually Archbishop on the Facebook yesterday. You know,
Yeah.
you put your somebody one way and they see them. Archbishop is looking good for 72, man. Yeah.
Yes.
Also to Miss Dabity, good morning to you, Valerie. Good morning to Nicole. And Nicole, we don't know where you're from, but it would be nice to find out. To Terry Ann Peters, good morning to you. G&C Auto Security, good morning to you people. I think they're down in Cookeriet. And also to Mr. Beeps. Mr. Beeps says he's been following you guys for years in the background. Yeah. So those are the people I have this morning on the WhatsApp.
Which one of the players were you? Was you or Mendoza in some play? Was it America that?
Yeah, Brian Mendoza.
I was saying the Mendoza something familiar. So Miss Dabity is your relative then?
In the play.
Of that character.
I just teasing. I wonder if she ever saw that play. I swear that is the best play ever.
But do you know because the girl's name was Mary Cumberbatch and in the play and then she became Mary Mendoza, and there was a time a girl came to the play and she said that's exactly what her name is.
Her name, huh?
Mary Cumberbatch, and she got married and it's now Mary Mendoza.
You're joking.
Yeah, and she was like, it's unbelievable. Yeah. Remember, this play is on for years, so that all kind of history with, you know, people have come backstage. I know, you know, the thing about theater, of course, theater is on this weekend. People, you know, you think about theater, and people have never been to a live play, and how much you're missing out. You know, you have so many people who come backstage and say, you know, because people are going through all sorts of stuff in their lives. You know, people have all sorts of stuff going on in your lives. And maybe private stuff you're not necessarily sharing with anybody. Maybe a close friend knows it, maybe a close family member knows it, maybe nobody knows it. It's just you, and you're going through whatever struggle that can make life difficult at times. And you know, sometimes people come backstage after a play and say, "Thank you. I just needed that release," and it makes me feel so much better about, you know, whatever I'm going through. People actually come and tell you that backstage. They come backstage and say thank you and say, "You have lifted my spirits. You know, I'm going through stuff right now, and I am so glad I came out tonight. I needed this." And, you know, and that's the power of entertainment. It's the power of laughter, and entertainment is about affecting your emotions, and that's why I always tell people Hollywood and what movies that you watch is about affecting your emotions. It's not just about it's about making you feel something. And when you don't feel something, you say, "Oh God, that was a packer," you know. I didn't like it at all, you know, because you didn't feel affected. And that's what entertainment is about. It affects you. That's why songs affect you. And when you hear a certain particular song, sometimes it brings back a memory of what that song means to you. Because that's what the creative world does in terms of affecting humans. And so don't underestimate the power of the healing power of theater, you know, and it's on this weekend, you know, and of course Saturday and Sunday, Married and Mischievous, Saturday at 8:30 and Sunday at 6:30, and I say adults only. Of course, it's about marriages and relationships. I mean, it's very funny, but it also gives you some food for thought too, but it lifts your spirits. When you leave, you'll be in a good mood. You'll be like, you know, I already had a good night out. You know,
for sure. And I think, Richard, I know you don't like to blow your own trumpet, so I'm going to blow it for you. I think you've made the difference in a lot of those plays, and the plays that you actually act in makes a difference, because you're just a natural. I don't even think you learn lines. You know, you just do the thing, and people go, "That is Richard. That is definitely the Richard we know." You understand? So you made that difference to those plays. I mean, and you brought out the best in some actors and actresses. You certainly brought out the best in them.
Yeah. So this is a wonderful, Married and Mischievous is a wonderful ensemble piece where actors are obviously, you have to have a certain level of synergy on stage. And for a lot of people who've never been to theater and think, well, what is theater like? It's like basically like watching a movie, because it takes you into and transports you into the world that you're watching on stage. And so the closest I could give you a reference is like watching a movie. If you've never been to live theater, and people say, "Oh God, what should I wear?" Wear what you normally wear if you're going out and you want to be decent. Just wear what you think is decent and comfortable for you. Sometimes I take
people as well dress up.
Some people dress up a lot. Some are a little bit more relaxed in how they dress. Do you? But but you should experience it. And I'm a girl coming backstage once telling me her father always told her, if a man cannot take you to the theater, forget it. Forget him. Move on. She came backstage and she told me that. That's what her father told her. She said, as a little girl, and she remembers it. Of course, he introduced her to theater from a young child, and the arts and dance and the creative world. And I remember she came backstage and telling me that. So
what a thing.
So Charles, that was a clever piece of advertisement there without really advertising.
Of course, we will have an update right now and you will check up full. Hey, let me
lock me up.
Let me say good morning to my sister who's locked on out there in Baratari. My sister Judy. Judy, good morning to you. Yeah, and all the folks in my old hometown. I've moved from there for years, but I still vote down there.
You originally from Baratari.
By the way, there's also on Friday night too. We are on Saturday and Sunday, but Friday night you have 78 with Penelope Spence, and then they are also on. They're only on one night on the Friday night.
Where?
Same Queen's Hall.
Same Queen's Hall.
Okay. The weekend of theater at Queen's Hall.
I saw a message here though I should read. It says, Cindy's not getting us on air. This is her aunt. So Margaret is her aunt.
Oh.
Margaret Thomas is Cindy's aunt.
Oh,
okay. So Cindy's not getting us. So she could watch us on M&E TV.
Yeah, she can watch us on cable.
Yeah.
All right, let me get to the headlines because I know we want to take some phone calls of people about the pressing business going on in Trinidad and Tobago today.
But also, hold on, just always move along, because everybody who's not getting us is of concern. So if you could text us, and I will send you guys the link directly, so you will know how to get us. Right? Okay. So 281-1315 text, and I will send you the link.
Yeah. Good. Somebody says hello from a bed in Grandi Hospital. So somebody's I know in a bed in Grandi Hospital. Now listen.
Well, hopefully we lift your spirits, whoever you are in that bed in Grandi Hospital.
Soon.
Yeah. Hopefully we lift your spirits for the next 2 hours on the breakfast show.
Yes.
And hopefully it makes you feel better and you get healthy as soon as possible.
Sure.
As soon as possible. So let's go through the daily newspapers for today in Trinidad and Tobago. The Daily Express for today, the front page, secret senators on eve of Parliament opening, President and Prime Minister Penny yet to name nominees for top posts. So we don't know who the independent senators are and we don't know who the opposition senators are.
Yeah, so they're keeping that real on the wraps.
Yeah, so we'll find out shortly. Annalisa, maybe we should talk to Penny next week about her choices of the senators, because Parliament is opening on Friday. I don't know what you all think, because we get her back on the show. I mean, we were the first to interview her when she was nominated and accepted in the post by the PNM hierarchy. Yeah. So we could try and get her on next week. But anyway, so secret senators. So that's what the Daily Express is featuring. India donates rice and oil to Trinidad and Tobago. Teacher awarded $740,000 for social media defamation. And Annalise Nanton, of course, is also on the front page. Bronze goddess Annalise Nanton, Miss World TNT, poses yesterday in her outfit Flight of the Bronze Ibis at the World Designer Award fashion show at the Trident, Hyderabad in India. The design draws inspiration from the vibrant bird life of Trinidad and Tobago. So it's a picture of her in that outfit. She's really very doing a lot of stuff, because she won one of the competitions, and she's obviously upped her profile in terms of what she's doing. So she's doing well, so power to her, and hopefully Trinidad and Tobago wins Miss World. She has a lot of support, a lot of Trinidadians and Tobagonians are backing her, So Voices from a Watery Grave is on the back page, the Paria diving tragedy that continues. And of course, the main headlines in sports, shellacking Balbany and McCarthy fire Irish to dominate win over Windies in first ODI. Matthew Century wasted as England trounced Windies women. And Apex and CWI renew sponsorship of West Indies men's teams. So that's it for the front and the back of the Daily Express. Moving on to the Newsday, the front page. Think of a poll, by the way, Wendell. It's sitting down there casually. You have a poll in your mind?
I have a poll.
You need some blessing and holy water. Trinidad and Tobago Newsday. First responders warned about Hurricane Barry as Padarat rages at ODPM. So first responders warned about Hurricane Barry as Padarat rages at ODPM. I'm not so sure what that's about.
They calling the minister Hurricane?
No, but I don't know. They're not saying that. They're saying
Hurricane Barry?
They didn't say minister of hurricane. They said first responders warned about Hurricane Barry as Padarat rages at ODPM.
That's a
vision on a mission to meet deportees. I'm not so sure what that story is about. I don't know if he was angry with the ODPM. Padarat rage. Let me read a little bit on it so that.
Yeah, because is there a hurricane that's coming that they call in Barry, or they know what it is?
Public Utilities Minister Barry Padarat has criticized the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management, among other state agencies, for their responsiveness in the face of disasters. But ODPM CEO, retired Major General Rodney Smart, believes Padarat was misguided on the role of the organization when he criticized it. Speaking at the TT Meteorological Services National Climate Outlook Forum at the TT Civil Aviation Authority's Piapa headquarters on May 21st, Padarat said, "Over the years, I have not been satisfied, nor have I been happy with the response of some of these critical stakeholders, and one of those has been the ODPM." With Smart sitting meters away at the head table, Padarat accused agency officials of sitting in ivory towers while the public struggles to come to terms with the consequences of whatever the disaster may be. There must be a greater degree of responsiveness. I know the reality on the ground. I know what the response has been from organizations, and I will not apologize for saying ODPM has to become more responsive and understand what the challenges are when we have significant rainfall. He said, as the MP of a constituency with large swaths of rural areas, he has witnessed firsthand how lethargic state agencies can be in their response to floods and other natural disasters. I recall stakeholders coming to Princeton and providing platitudes at a time when you needed a greater degree of responsiveness. And this is what citizens of TNT expect, responsiveness. While I understand there will be limitations from time to time, there is a certain degree of responsiveness that is needed in terms of immediacy and how you treat with these matters. Padarat said citizens believe there's a disconnect between them and state agencies and added that this must be addressed. I'm just trying to get to where meanwhile, speaking with the media during a break at the forum, Smart suggested Padarat's comment was based on a misunderstanding of the local disaster response system. When he was speaking to responsiveness, it appeared he was speaking to what one would expect in our national disaster system from the Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government. Smart explained the first response in any situation is at the community level with the Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government, as well as the TT Fire Service. These are the authorities that respond immediately in the case, and in the case of Tobago, it's the Tobago Emergency Management Agency, so that when they find that their resources are insufficient or where they don't have a capability, they then reach out to the ODPM. That is when the ODPM gets involved. He added the ODPM serves more of a coordinating role while constantly monitoring the situation and offering help if agencies appear to be overwhelmed. The ODPM cannot get involved unless there is a request for support. But mind you, the ODPM is all the time, always monitoring and reaching out. So the responsiveness that he spoke is built into the system. Asked if he was worried about his tenure being cut short based on Padarat's comments, Smart defended his work at the ODPM and said his employment status was not his main concern. My contract ends later this year. If it is that the government's view is that they would like to renew it or not, that's fine. I took a contract for 3 years, and at the end of it, it is either going to be renewed or not renewed. But my job is not to worry about a contract. My job is to ensure that while I am there, I give the best professional service as possible. He said he was not worried about being politically targeted, as he was not a political appointee. To become the CEO of the ODPM, you have to go through the recruitment process like every single person in the ODPM who is employed. So you have to go through a competitive process, and based on the process, if you come out on top, you are the person hired. My purpose is to serve Trinidad and Tobago and to serve and to support any administration that comes into power. That's my job, and that's the job of all the people in the ODPM. The ODPM will always be supportive of whichever administration is in power. He said he approached Padarat during the break at the forum and had a cordial chat with him and offered to explain the ODPM's role. I told him, Minister, I'd like to meet with you and brief you so you are aware of the disaster response system. Asked if Padarat appeared willing to meet with him. Smart said he didn't say no, so I assumed he was receptive to what I had to say. And this is where they said Hurricane Barry bears down on other state agencies.
Okay.
This is not Padarat's first public comment on the operations of state agencies since his appointment. Last week, he ordered majority state-owned TSCT and its subsidiary Amplia to put a freeze on all human resource actions after the board's failure to resign in the wake of the UNC's election. And, well, it talks about that.
Yeah, well, I could have answered that question even before you read what Rodney Smart had to say. Now, Rodney Smart is a decorated officer, former chief of defense staff in Trinidad and Tobago, a very respectable young man. You understand? I mean, I know him personally. So ODPM was always a coordinating agency. The first responders are, in fact, the local government people. You understand? The fire services and so on, who would have resources, and they are given resources. You understand? Like cots and different first aid kits and this kind of thing. They most of them have it. You know, in all the municipal corporations. So I didn't quite understand, but who am I?
Right.
Who am I? So
anyway, on the back page,
pull that, Richard.
Come up with the poll, Wendell, and send it.
Yeah,
like
come up with it already.
Okay. West Indies humbled. Batsmen failed to deliver against Ireland in first ODI. Wet season washes out domestic 50 over competitions. And Lambo Anglican Taj Moses competes on May 21st during the National Primary School's 3K run in Tobago. So there's a picture of a young lad running the race. The Trinidad and Tobago Guardian for today. Barry slams ODPM. That's the headline. Say there's no urgency in addressing flooding woes in rural communities. And there's a picture, of course, flooding and a house with flooding under the house. $90,000 stolen from Sando Corporation office. Piparo residents alarmed over plan to house deportees. And on the back page of the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian, double blows for West Indies teams. So that's it for our 3 dailies this morning. So now you know, and this is the point at which we can open up our lines and get interactive with you on the Breakfast Show. So we can open up our lines at this point. And of course, the number you can call is 281-1315. Of course, you can WhatsApp call us, or you can direct call us at that number, 281-1315. Of course, if you're outside of Trinidad and Tobago, the code is 868, as you can see on the screen. And if you're listening to us, it's 868-281-1315. So 281-1315. We're taking your calls now.
Right, and see that we are way behind on that time segment. Let's go. Good morning.
One time. Good morning, Sir Charles.
Morning.
Good morning to Richard, and good morning to Wendell. I see you. Yes, I'm okay. See this now. You know, Barry Padarat, he really getting the wrath of people. The headline was right, Hurricane Barry. he got into everybody's business. Everybody's business. Apparently, he doesn't know the difference between in government and in opposition. And him to tell the ODPM what to do. You know, come here, Johnny, come lately. You'll be the man who's in charge. I think he's a senior who was in the defense force also, right? And this Mr. Smart, yeah. For him to be telling him that they don't do the work properly, he really out of place, you know. Really, really, really. Because you cannot have pouring rain, bucket a drop constantly, like over the weekend there, and talking about you're not seeing about the flooding. How could you when the rain constantly falling? I mean, Barry, get off your high horse and do your work. You only there a few weeks, a few days, because you only talking for the rest. If you're there for 3 weeks, you're talking for 2.5 weeks. Only talk. You are in government. You're only criticizing. You're only doing this. Are you the ex facto prime minister? You're talking more than your boss. Get a life. Thank you.
Okay.
Good morning to you, caller.
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. Wendell, I know you might be the know more of this. I'll call in to ask a question. The money that was allotted by the previous government to the family of the deceased divers, had that money been paid before the election?
You're asking me if the money was paid before the elections?
Yes, I'm asking if you're aware of if it was been paid, if it was paid before the election.
No, I am not aware.
No, you're not aware. Okay, I'm wondering that because I'm saying the opposition was in a position as the job is to do of the amount of money that was paid. If it hasn't been paid, I would like to know what the opposition is planning to do to increase that sum to the divers because they were upset about the figure. So we're waiting to see what they're going to do to give the family of the deceased divers compensation. You understand? Everybody seems to have forgotten about that and making sure that it does in fact happen. Right?
Yeah, we'll wait and see because the last cabinet had approved a certain amount, so we'll wait and see what happens.
So we need to monitor, we need to keep that on the front burner so it don't just go under the carpet.
Yeah.
All right?
All right. Okay.
No problem. Okay. Thanks very much, Lincoln.
Let me say good morning to Candice Pascal, Scorpion Pepper, Gemma Brewster, Richard Jeremiah, DL, Ava Smith. Who else? Those are some new names, and Subhash Mangal also joined us during the last session.
Good morning, Gemma. Nice to see you on the stream this morning.
Yes, Gemma is advising people to visit Know Your Country tours. It will help us.
Yeah. Coming to you now, caller. Good morning.
Good morning, Gemma.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, caller. We're hearing you.
Hi, guys. Morning. Carol here.
Carol here. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Good morning, Carol.
Excuse me. Morning, Richard. Two things. Yesterday, Richard, for your good news segment, you played the video you showed. I was wondering, and I was trying to get in since yesterday, but oh Lord, it's very difficult now, boy. Why are they speaking about Peter Minchell in past tense? That really bothered me yesterday. And the second thing, Wendell, while reading the comments this morning, the greetings this morning, you made 2 errors. Well, you were reading it so fast. You said Brennan Smith was saying hello to his wife, Carol. That's not what was there. He was saying hi from his wife, who is a friend and former colleague of mine. And
so she was saying hi to you.
Hello
his wife was saying hi to you.
In return.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but you're right. It's wrong.
All right.
Okay?
You accepted the greeting, right?
Nice.
Okay, no problem. Yeah.
So, hi, Carol from Brennan Smith's wife.
Yeah. Hello, good morning.
Morning, Sir Charles and Robert Bassing and Mr. Wendell Stephen. I always say he's the mayor. He should be the mayor, Wendell Stephen. I want to I just want to say make 2 little points. One is I want to congratulate I think he's Barbadian, Mr. Ralston Chase, of assuming the captaincy of the West Indies. I always see the captain as a very important person in West Indies cricket, not only represent just Barbados as a Barbadian, but also the Caribbean, the CARICOM. So I want to take note of that. Yeah, nobody mentioned it. It really did occur sometime earlier last week. And I also want to say that the new Minister of Public Utilities, I want to just caution him today. I, as a supporter of the United National Congress, want to caution him. Tell him don't get to cry away so early in your tenure. Inspector Brigadier General Mr. Rodney Smart. I want to say he was my former colleague, and he's a former military person who is very competent in what he do. I think he heads the ODPM. So I just want to let Mr. Padarat know that this is a career soldier. This is somebody who really know what he's doing and a professional. So I just want to put that out there on the national radio. Only a big radio station and TV thing, boy. Only I can't get in, boy. Only the line's busy, boy. Well done to you, Sir Charles, and you all doing a wonderful job, man. I love the program. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Billy, take care, Mr. Billy. I always enjoy this. He's also a former soldier, and he would know Rodney very well. Because we all grew up in St. James.
Right. But should we get our morning poll at this point? Or you have a call waiting, Sir Charles?
Go ahead.
All right, so our morning poll this morning, let me just bring it up on the screen. There it is. Do you think Minister Barry Padarath is justified in criticizing the ODPM? That's our poll this morning. Do you think Minister Barry Padarath is justified in criticizing the ODPM? I would have read that article, so you all would have an idea and a sense of what went on and what he said at the conference. And of course, it was enough to land him on the front page of 2 of the daily newspapers this morning. Mm-hmm. So if you're hitting 2 of the daily newspapers, it means, you're getting the media attention whether you want it or not. Maybe you want it. So the morning poll this morning, do you think Minister Barry Padarath is justified in criticizing the ODPM? That's our poll this morning. You may start voting now, and let's start getting those votes when they'll answer Charles.
No problem. Steph, hurricanes don't last forever. Steph, you need to vote. I guess you're talking about Hurricane Barry. So that might be a no. Donna Ramlo-Chan says no. Hazel Will, no. Michael Oliver, no. Mrs. R, no. Rena Boodoo-Jennings, no. Brent Hackshaw, no. Susan Jessup, no. Lloyd Cave, that's a new name, no. Wendy Ann James, morning Wendy Ann, she says no. Romantic says yes. Marlon Motley, no. Terrence Roach, no. Donna Ramlo-Chan already voted. Susan Jessup, okay, Susan. Margaret Thomas, no. Hilary Zan, no. Kazim Mohammed, no. Lennox Francois, no. Cheryl Henry, no. Trini Gets Fit, no. Wayne Joseph, no. Joyce Phillip, no. Some people add in hell. I only do heaven. Eva Smith, yes. Wayne Ramsey, no.
I have a caller online. Let's take it there. Caller, good morning. What say you? Caller? The caller jump off. Sorry about that.
Thanks for Steve canning the show.
Yeah, but
so do you think Minister Barry Padarath?
Charles, you could cuss him. You could cuss him if you want to.
I'll put him in the tea room chat.
Do you think Minister Barry Padarath is justified in criticizing the ODPM? Steve Canning is my friend, so I can use his name in the brand.
All right. Steph says no. Susie B says no. Susan Jessup says no. Scott Pepper says no also. Robert Harper, no. CJ from New York, morning CJ, he says no. And DL says I hate his attitude, but yes to the poll.
All right. We have a caller again. Caller, good morning.
Yes, morning, and it's no. And you can't you on too tight.
Yeah. Don't do that, all right?
Don't do that.
Yeah.
All right. Annie Bunyan also says no. Miguel Gonzalez, no. Lots of votes on this one this morning. All right. So you
Charles,
have
you
any
have
else?
Yes,
Charles,
so I just have a couple of them. Frank says no. Valerie says heaven no. According to Wendell there. And Pauline says yes. And Annan says yes.
All right. So we have about 12. We at 7 o'clock. Magic also says no. So we'll stop there at 7 a.m. and you could keep voting and we will count your votes after the news. All right?
Right. So our poll this morning, you can continue voting during the news. Do you think Minister Barry Padurath is justified in criticizing the ODPM? That's our poll for this morning. And of course, you can continue voting during the news, which starts next on The Breakfast Show.
The news you need, the clarity you deserve. Local, regional, global. This is Net Radio News Now.
This is your news update for Thursday, May 22nd, 2025. I am Amanda Mitchell with New Era TT Radio and M&E TV. Minister of Finance Davendranath Thankoo has announced an extension of the tax and national insurance amnesty until August 2nd, 2025, allowing individuals and businesses more time to benefit from relief on penalties and interest across a wide range of taxes and contributions. The amnesty, originally introduced under the Finance Act 2024, began on October 1st, 2024, and was due to end on December 31st, 2024. Covered tax categories include individual income tax, corporation tax, V8, petroleum profits tax, and PAYE. However, critics have pointed out a shift in position by Minister Thankoo, who in January 2025, while in opposition, had criticized similar amnesty extensions under the previous government. The Ministry of Finance reminds taxpayers that failure to settle outstanding amounts by the new deadline will result in the full reinstatement of previously waived penalties and interest. Ahead of tomorrow's ceremonial opening of the 13th Parliament, Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar has reassigned portfolios to enhance interministerial collaboration in economic planning and management. According to the Trinidad and Tobago Gazette, Minister of Planning Kennedy Swaratsingh was appointed Minister in the Ministry of Finance, effective May 13th, while Minister of Finance Davendranath Thankoo was appointed Minister in the Ministry of Planning, effective May 15th. Both ministers have welcomed the changes, with Swaratsingh calling the move strategic, adding he will work closely with Thankoo and Minister of Trade Satyakama Maharaj to drive economic revitalization. The ceremonial opening will begin at 1:30 p.m. at the Red House, marking a historic moment as all three top political roles are held by women for the first time in the nation's history. With the People's National Movement preparing for its national executive elections on June 22nd, former Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister Dr. Amory Brown has hinted at a return to party leadership, but not as political leader. At a Belisier House press conference, PNM Pro Faris Al-Rawi confirmed all executive positions will be contested, with results to be announced at a special party convention on June 29th. So far, opposition leader Penelope Beckles is the sole declared candidate for the post of political leader, following Dr. Keith Rowley's resignation on May 1st after the PNM's defeat in the April 28th general election. In a WhatsApp statement, Brown said he was considering a role on the executive, citing his 30-year membership and commitment to the party's rebuilding phase. Attorney General John Jeremy has confirmed that work on the legislative agenda is already underway, promising surprises to come. Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar has already announced plans to expand the Children's Life Fund, repeal the Trinidad and Tobago Revenue Authority, introduce laws addressing home invasions, and provide easier firearm access to law-abiding citizens. You are listening to news on New Era TT Radio. In regional news, the European Union is providing Haiti with a €9 million grant, approximately $11.6 million, to help modernize the country's customs operations and combat smuggling and trafficking. The funding supports the Haitian government's 2023 to 2026 customs revenue increase and anti-smuggling plan known as PALUCOS. It aims to strengthen the General Customs Administration's capacity to fight drug and arms trafficking, boost tax revenue, facilitate trade, and protect local businesses. Haitian Economy and Finance Minister Alfred Fils Metellus signed the agreement with EU Ambassador Stefano Gatto, saying the reforms are crucial to reclaim control of the country's customs offices amid ongoing security challenges. In international news, a diplomatic meeting at the White House turned tense yesterday when US President Donald Trump confronted South African President Cyril Ramaphosa with unverified claims of violence against white farmers. Ramaphosa had traveled to Washington aiming to boost trade relations, but the tone shifted when Trump played a video showing crosses on farmland and controversial footage of opposition leader Julius Malema singing "Shoot the Boer." Trump claimed the footage proved white farmers were being persecuted and killed for their land. Ramaphosa disputed the claims, saying the video did not reflect government policy and emphasized that black South Africans are far more likely to be victims of crime. He pointed out that no land has been taken under a recent law allowing expropriation without compensation, and that most farmers, regardless of race, want to stay in the country. That concludes your news update for today. I'm Amanda Mitchell for New Era TT Radio and M&E TV. The Breakfast Show with Wendell, Richard, and Sir Charles continues right after this short break.
That was news now. Stay informed with New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Join Sir Charles for the mid-morning mix and mingle, where good music, real talk, health, and family matters come together, and your voice is heard. Whether you're at work, on the go, or just taking a break, this is the perfect mix to keep you engaged, informed, and entertained. The mid-morning mix and mingle, weekdays, 9 a.m. to 12 noon on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
People often think about wellness in terms of physical health, nutrition, exercise, weight management, etc. But it is much more. Wellness is a holistic integration of physical, social, emotional, spiritual, intellectual, financial, occupational, and environmental state. Join our host, Terry Ann George, a health coach, author, mediator, and CEO of the Institute of Health and Fitness, as she discusses 8 elements with several professionals within the various dimensions of wellness. So let's kick burnout to the curb for good.
Join Terry and George for Dimensions. Fridays at 11 a.m. on New Era TT Radio, Net Radio.
Things just got better. You're locked into Net Radio, the breakfast show, fueling your day with the best music and real talk.
I want this. Right now I just 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 want this. I want this. I'm winding away, feeling so nice, so nice, so nice. So tripping on me, but it's alright, alright, alright. And I feel like I just win $1 million. Everybody watching me, wearing $1 million. You wanna talk okay. Cause when I win you go when I get in on you go okay. Call your friends and then talk okay. Jump up they go okay. Up down they don't okay. You, I don't care what you say, cause right now I just want less, and I don't really care less. The girlfriend she go get vexed, the family go send text, but I don't care, I want less. They say I'm moving breathless, but I don't really care less. They say I'm moving fearless. Tell them call me name, I go take the blame. Tell them call me name, oh, I go take the blame. Yeah, right now I just want this. Right now I just spin up. Right now I just spin up. Right now I just give it
energy. This is the Net Radio Breakfast Show.
Feeling so light, so light.
So as we welcome you inside the second hour of the breakfast show, we're happy to be here with you. Happy that you're here with us also. Just to tell you what's happening inside of the Drive Time Exchange with Tony Fraser a little later on today from 4 p.m. Doctor or no doctor, you can't get away from the tax. As the Mighty Sparrow sang decades as income tax was introduced, and today the form of taxes are many. So Nigel Gittins, who is a writer on economic matters, is suggesting a one tax system which meets all the needs for government to get revenue to administer the country. And he makes that case today on the Drive Time Exchange, also giving commentary on the system of taxation generally. Is none other than Derek Brown, who is a Trinidadian economist who worked with the World Bank for over 15 years. And of course, you can join those esteemed gentlemen with Tony Fraser a little later on inside the Drive Time Exchange, where rubber meets good talk and commentary. That's happening right after the 4 o'clock news. 4 to 6 this evening with journalist Tony Fraser. Okay, so let's see what the weather is like for today.
Good morning again, Trinidad and Tobago. This is your weather update for Thursday, the 22nd of May, 2025 from New Era TT Radio and M&E TV. Today we're looking at a mostly sunny, hazy and breezy day, despite a few showers occurring mainly over Trinidad. Tonight will be fair but hazy, apart from brief showers. An important note for our listeners, there is a moderate concentration of Saharan dust present in the atmosphere. Persons who are sensitive to this change in air quality are advised to take the necessary precautions to protect their respiratory health. Temperature-wise, Trinidad can expect a maximum of 32 degrees Celsius today, with a minimum of 24 degrees Celsius. In Tobago, the maximum will reach 31 degrees Celsius with a minimum of 26 degrees Celsius. With humidity factored in, the heat index will make it feel like 36 degrees Celsius in Trinidad and 34 degrees Celsius in Tobago. So please remember to stay hydrated throughout this warm day. Sea conditions are moderate with wave heights up to 1.5 meters in open waters and below 1 meter in sheltered areas. The sun rose this morning at 5:43 and will set at 6:22 this evening. For those planning maritime activities today, high tide in Port of Spain will occur at 11:54 this morning, with low tides at 5:35 this morning and 5:46 this evening. In Scarborough, high tide will be at 11:48 this morning, with low tides at 5:36 this morning and 5:54 this evening. Looking ahead to tomorrow, Friday the 23rd of May, expect similar conditions with mostly sunny, hazy, and breezy daytime conditions despite a few showers. Friday night will also be fair but hazy apart from brief showers. The moderate concentration of Saharan dust is expected to continue. Saturday's forecast shows a continuation of the same pattern with mostly sunny, hazy, and breezy conditions despite a few showers. This has been your weather update for today. Enjoy the sunshine, but remember to take precautions if you're sensitive to the Saharan dust. From all of us at New Era TT Radio and M&E TV, have a wonderful Thursday.
Port of Spain, we are finally here. RSRR Productions, Married and Mischievous, finally comes to Port of Spain at Queen's Hall for 2 nights only on Saturday the 24th of May, 8:30 p.m. and Sunday the 25th at 6:30 p.m. Come see the play that everybody's talking about, strictly for adults only. The Scandalous, Married and Mischievous at Queen's Hall. Tickets available at all our usual outlets and at the Queen's Hall box office. This is not just a play, it's an experience. Don't miss it.
S&H Rumbox, 137 Western Main Road, St. James, for all your retail and wholesale needs for alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages. Call us at 686-0599 or visit us at 137 Western Main Road, St. James. S&H Rumbox, drinking out of the box.
Advertise with us on New Era TT Radio, the fastest growing streaming platform for talk in Trinidad and Tobago. Audio and video ads welcome. Elevate your brand with us. Connect with us at newera@yahoo.com or call us at 299-5156. Now what are you waiting for? Great news, Caribbean. The Breakfast Show is now on M&E TV, bringing you entertaining conversations, vital information, and influential perspectives throughout Trinidad and Tobago and across the Caribbean region. Catch us on Digicel Channel 20, Flow Channel 111, Amplia Channel 117, Blink Channel 109, Tricode Channel 154, and Airlink Channel 10. The Breakfast Show connects with the Caribbean and Trinidad and Tobago like never before. We're now on M&E TV.
Richard forget his mic again.
But we're back on the Breakfast Show this morning, and of course, it's the second hour of the Breakfast Show. And of course,
you're being a manager.
Of course, you all don't know how many things that's been doing during the break.
You need a manager. You need a manager.
but you mean when they come back on this, put on your mic.
I'm doing all sorts of things. I said during the break, I'm doing something like that. I said during the break, I'm doing all sorts of things.
I need a manager.
To make sure other things are going on, because this is not the only thing I'm doing. So other things are taking place. So, but anyway, this is the second hour, and we have Idi Stuart coming up. He will join us at around 7:30 this morning to take us a conversation on the National Nursing Association of Trinidad and Tobago, the Trinidad and Tobago National Nursing Association. And so we'll be talking about, well, we've spoken to Idi before, in our last iteration, not on this program yet. No. So this will be his first time on the Breakfast Show. But we'll be discussing the whole issue of nursing resources in the health sector in Trinidad and Tobago, because there is a problem where a lot of our nurses are migrating. You have the issue of the Couva Hospital being reopened under this government as a children's hospital, which they have indicated that's what they're going to do. I know the previous government had it earmarked as a teaching hospital. Yeah. I don't know if the current administration is going to still keep that aspect of it in terms of being a teaching and children's hospital, or solely a children's hospital. Mm-hmm. And of course, any hospital that opens, and we have had several openings of hospitals over the last couple of years. You had the Arima Hospital, you had the Sangre Grande Hospital, you had the Point Fortin Hospital, and you had the Port of Spain Hospital, which Central Block, which they had a practical completion ceremony for. And it's supposed to be operationalized, I think, sometime by June or July. July, I think. Anyway, Idi would be able to kind of give us better direction on that. But all of these places need nurses. Mm-hmm. And so he'll be talking about that and, what's the state of the healthcare. He always is very frank and honest about what his opinion is and what is the opinion of the Nursing Association, National Nursing Association of Trinidad and Tobago. So that's an interview that you should follow. Yeah. Because it's an important...
He's consistent with his criticisms.
Yeah.
Despite a change in government. He's been consistent.
So the new Minister of Health, I'm not so sure if he has met with the new Minister of Health yet. So we'll find out all of that.
So I have some more votes for you, Richard. Quite a bit of votes actually came in at 7, just after 7.
Let me pull back up the poll, Wendell. Just now, you just pull back up the poll so that people will see the poll, because we can take some votes again still.
Yes,
that's our morning.
We can still vote because we still have 10 minutes before we get on to Idi. Or we'll take some calls after we do the poll.
Yeah, we can take a couple calls.
Yeah.
Responsible.
You ready?
Give me results, yeah.
Right. The poll, I'll give you votes. Michael Robinson from Yokohama said no. Ann Noel, no. Cathy Ann Townsend, a big fat no. Who else? Okay. James Kamau, no. Far Rockaway, yes. Pearl Cordis, no. Carol Guevara, no. Eva Smith, no. people comment, all you back off Amanda. I don't tell you already. What is all this story? Leave Amanda alone. I handling Amanda. Morning, Amanda. Island girls. No.
You had it on. All right. Okay, cool.
yeah. Leave Amanda. Miguel Gonzalez says yes. Okay, I don't know if Miguel voted or if yes, he agree with the comments on Amanda or they leave Amanda alone. All right. And Gemma Brewster says no also. All right.
So Charles, you ready?
Yeah, I just have two. My sister Judy Davis says no, and Sexy Reds says heaven no.
Yeah, Sexy Reds trying to get in with me. Trying
Heaven.
to get everything.
You drink something bad this morning, on.
If I what?
You drink something bad this morning?
Coffee. Only coffee. I already drink coffee in the morning. I don't drink that.
Water.
I need
Make the coffee with water.
So a poll this morning, do you think Minister Barry Padarath is justified in criticizing the ODPM? We can take a couple more votes as we head towards
A couple calls in between there also.
And we can take some calls, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me close. I wanted to close up on the voting. So anybody else wanted to vote now.
Yeah. Beauty Culture says no. And Riri says Wendell. Riri, I know what that means.
Well, while you're tabulating, let's just take this call and have it in the system now. All right. Caller, good morning to you.
Good morning, gentlemen. Now for Virginia Front and Center, please make a category for the response. Hell no. You know, Officer Smart, Lieutenant General Smart, is a graduate of an institution very few individuals can make the grade for, the Sandhurst Military College. And I have look, people who currently in the military and other paramilitary services and stuff, right? This is the problem we have when you have civilians like Barry Paratop, who never even shot a slingshot in his life the way he looks, right?
Hey.
How
Stay with the issue. Please, so let's stay with the issue.
No, okay. All right. I do apologize. But you understand what I'm saying, gentlemen? You know, the old people had a saying, never see come and get. You know what, brother? The higher you think you are, the harder you will fall. Okay? So I say no. If I'm too late for the poll, I still say no.
No, you're
right?
Thank
you very much.
All right. Thank you very much.
And last vote, Richard Ryan Payne says no also. That's it. So that's it there. I think we can take some generic calls now. No more voting.
All right, well, let me give the results of the morning poll. So our morning poll, as you can still see it on the screen if you are watching us, it's called, do you think Minister Barry Padarath is justified in criticizing the ODPM? We had 52 people voting on the poll in the allotted time. And of the 52 people voting,
one more no. Yeah, 53 now. One more no. Nicola out there in Toronto. Just give me.
If looks gonna kill, you know, they were saying like that.
But people say Richard.
53 people voting on the poll this morning, and of the 53 people, 46 of you said no. You do not think that Minister Barry Padarath is justified in criticizing the ODPM, and 7 of you said yes. So the nays have it this morning. Obviously, the majority of you do not think that Minister Barry Padarath is justified in criticizing the ODPM. So there you have it for our poll this morning.
Yeah, this criticisms did come across a little harsh. You know, because everybody should know that the ODPM is a coordinating agency. They don't respond to anything. You know? But
yeah, it's a coordinating agency. I think we learned that. I think there was a time we ourselves didn't understand that coordinating function in what they did. But I think we had an in-depth interview was it with Mr. Smart? I can't remember if it was with him.
We spoke to Mr. Smart, but we may have interviewed people long before.
Yeah, and they clarified that what their role was. So maybe we could try and get on Mr. Smart for next week to discuss the ODPM and its actual role, and so it's clearer to people, because the show is about educating people on some of these agencies, because people have misconceptions about sometimes what agencies do. So we could maybe have that conversation, which could be helpful.
Yeah, but after tomorrow's show, I know they'll be clear on intellectual property and what they can and cannot do with it.
We'll be discussing intellectual property tomorrow in light of all of the, the bacchanal concerning the Black Stallion issue. And of course, a lot of social media commentary on that issue, and the photograph of Black Stallion. So of course, Sir Charles has agreed to only play Black Stallion music tomorrow when we are.
Oh yes, after much consideration and we decided.
You see what
Yes. After a very lively discussion about it, I have decided to go that direction. Yes.
Let somebody, our most favorite person on the show today is Care Business. Care Business says, "Hi, handsome men from the UK." Well, Care Business, you are preferred person. I'm gonna put up your comment just for that on the screen.
Caller making noise in the background. Let's take the caller now. She's been there for a while.
Thank you, Care Business.
because all they didn't take my call to vote, and I don't care if my vote added, but hell no.
Okay.
And hear what?
You need to take your vitamin tablets early in the morning so you could call in time.
How I mean, I'm calling time. I get too damn busy now.
Oh, maybe the next line.
Listen.
Go ahead, Zina. Go ahead.
Listen.
Stay with the issue.
Yesterday I didn't get into because Lincoln hugged the damn shoeless and trying to get tickets. I want and so Marie and the other guy that it have people leaving New York and coming here just for a play. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So to my dear friend, you know who you are, who is here just for a play, right? So we will be looking for Richard again to get his hug and kisses and Zoe Marie in the backstage.
Yeah. I know. I'm quite aware. Zina, I'm quite aware.
Yes. All right.
Thank you very much, Zina.
All right, good.
We can take some of your calls. The lines are open 281-1315 as we wait for Idi Stuart to come into studio. 281-1315. Of course, you can WhatsApp call us or direct call us from wherever you are across the planet. Of course, if you're outside of Trinidad and Tobago, it's better to WhatsApp call us. 868-281-1315.
Yeah. Tomorrow, I know, in the morning, I guess, we'll do a lot of speculating on who the senators will be later on in the day, because I think the government still have 6 or 7 more senators to appoint, and the opposition certainly will have 6. I think all eyes will be on the opposition senators. Who picked for who will be the ones picked to sit in the upper house of the Senate for the People's National Movement.
You also have the independent branch.
I know when I say about the independents, if they are presented tomorrow also.
Yes, the same senators, unless the president makes a change, will go into the independent Senate bench. You understand? The independent bench is not dependent on an election. It's all up to the president of the republic.
Yeah, the president can decide at any point if she's changing an independent senator.
All right. Caller, before we go to the interview. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Sir Charles. How are you?
I'm well.
Good morning, Mrs. R.
Oh, good morning, Mrs. Alvina. I didn't know on your head. I'm calling you this morning to blow you out. Good morning, Wanda. Because yesterday, I wanted to call in just to say a special good morning and, awesome job to your actors. But no, you take caller 1, you take him back and other callers waited.
That's it, Charles. That's us.
So, that note, next time you have your actors, boss, I would like you to let some of the callers who thoroughly enjoy their performances every show that they attend, please get to say hello to the callers, to the actors as well. Okay?
That was
and good morning to you. I still talking just now. And good morning to Zina, my darling. Good morning to CJ. CJ, I am so horrible, but I'm going to make sure I make that call as soon as I commute on my way to work now. And to Rena, special good morning, and that's it. And you can say what you have to say off air. I'm so mad at this.
Bye bye. Have a good day. Do not stress too much.
You know, we didn't think of just having people just calling to talk to them. We just thought about the ticket giveaway, and that was it.
Yeah. CJ is supposed to be at your play this weekend, Richard.
Yeah, so we'll keep it generic.
Good morning to CJ.
Morning, CJ.
Joins rainy, sunny Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah, it's just a crazy set of weather lately. Yeah?
It's beautiful.
We're still taking your calls, 281-1315. As I said, we're still waiting for Idi Stuart to join us in studio. I'm not seeing him backstage yet, but he'll be here shortly. He said he would join us around 7:30.
It's 7:30.
You should see him shortly.
Yes.
But in the interim, you can still take some of your calls on this Thursday morning. The weekend begins tonight, people, at the second after midnight.
Yep. Tomorrow, don't forget, tomorrow's program is all about intellectual property. We'll have Miss Rachel Collymore, I think that's the name, who will be joining us to talk about intellectual property. And if I could just, well, I mean, I'm doing this only because we're waiting on our call, right? But she is, I could just give you a sense of who Miss Rachel Collymore is. And she is, where is it? She is a WIPO certified IP trainer and consultant, publicist and creative strategist with over 15 years of experience in the creative industries and MSME sectors. She's the founder and managing director of Power Media Hub, and she has led innovative projects in public relations, marketing strategy, and intellectual property. All right, she holds a master's degree in business administration and certifications in various areas of intellectual property law, public relations, event management, and social media marketing. So a lot of people who will surely be interested in what Ms. Collymore has to say in terms of what you can and cannot do, or what you should and shouldn't be doing. You know, so we will have her as our guest tomorrow.
Good. Caller is there. Caller, good morning to you.
Yes. So Charles, it's me again.
Be responsible.
See that tomorrow, please God, is the opening, right? The ceremonial opening of Parliament. I'm certain that there are restrictions in downtown, right? But
yeah, they would have printed it already.
Any newspaper to tell people where to. I didn't go to police tomorrow, but I don't think I'm going to drive. I'm afraid to drive, so I'm going to travel. But I should. Is that in newspaper today? I buy no newspapers yet. I ain't really go outside to buy newspapers. So could you tell me, Richard, if that is in the newspapers, the restrictions tomorrow, please God, for the ceremonial open?
I have checked some of the newspapers. I haven't really seen it either. So
I'm sure it's there. Because everybody should know now that the around the Parliament will be restricted, especially if it's a ceremonial opening.
There will be restrictions. I'm not so sure if it's actually in the actual newspapers concerning but I'll check while we continue to
stay away from the Red House. If you want to go and drive and park, you can walk. But don't try to pass there if you know.
Don't pass it. I mean, you're going uptown. Use other routes.
Yeah.
From that downtown section right there by going up.
I don't know what time they're starting. Is it 9 or 1?
Is it 1:30? I think.
1:30. Okay.
I don't know why 1:30 is in my mind, but I think it is 1:30.
Okay. All right. Richard, give us a couple ads there. Mighty time. Whilst we're waiting.
Well, I see Idi Stuart is in, but
he's in. All right, let's take it.
I would ever hesitate.
Port of Spain, we are finally here. RSRR Productions, Married and Mischievous, finally comes to Port of Spain at Queen's Hall for 2 nights only on Saturday the 24th of May, 8:30 p.m. and Sunday the 25th at 6:30 p.m. Come see the play that everybody's talking about, strictly for adults only. The Scandalous, Married and Mischievous at Queen's Hall. Tickets available at all our usual outlets and at the Queen's Hall box office. This is not just a play, it's an experience. Don't miss it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're going into our interview with
Idi. Said it's 1:30. It's 1:30. Thanks.
Yes, it's 1:30. That's why I say 1:30 was in my mind. So we're going into our interview with Idi Stuart at this point because I see he's backstage. And of course, this is our Let's Talk segment.
Yeah.
So good morning, Idi.
Pleasant morning. Pleasant morning. I hope you're hearing me.
Well, we want to see you too.
Yeah,
put on your camera.
Yes, we are hearing you. We are hearing you.
Idi, you don't have a makeup issue and thing. You could put on your camera.
I have to put on the makeup.
Where is he? Like he consulting with somebody as to how to do it.
He voted the camera view.
Move. I'm coming. I'm going on here now. All right, here he is. What did he do?
You know, we are that kind of program. So good morning, Idi.
It's a way of helping people relax. So, that's how we relax people.
You don't need to relax. Idi ready to go. So, Idi Stuart, thank you so much for joining us on the breakfast show this morning. We appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. And of course, I suppose we can get straight into the nitty-gritty of it all. The issue of nursing and the healthcare sector, and I suppose we could start off with, so have you had any interaction yet with the new Minister of Health, Minister Lakram Bodo?
Yeah, Dr. Lakram Bodo.
Yes. Yes, we would have been able. Well, pleasant morning to all you and your listeners. Thanks for having me. We did indeed have a meeting only on Monday, actually, with the new minister and Dr. Lakram Bodo and the minister in the ministry, Dr. Richard Sicharan. First time there's the benefit, I guess, of having two ministers in the Ministry of Health. So we would see how that works out. But both men seem to be very accommodating. And definitely Dr. Lakram Bodo has been a person the association has been lobbying continuously and speaking to and liaising with over the last 9+ years when he was the shadow Minister of Health during the PNM government. Yeah.
Okay. And how did that meeting go? Was it a positive meeting? And I say that in the context we knew that you would have had issues with the former Minister of Health. So how did that one go?
Well, we had meetings with the last two former ministers, Dr. Fuad Khan and Mr. Terence Dial Singh. So we have had 15 years of inappropriate ministers, persons who were really square pegs in wrong holes. So it was indeed a welcoming opportunity to speak to two completely different persons in that of Dr. Lakram Bodo and Dr. Richard Sicharan. Their whole persona, and as I said, I've been liaising with Dr. Lakram Bodo over the last 9 years, and his whole persona is different. And it's not coming from a position that I know everything. It is coming from a position I'm willing to listen to what the major stakeholders, the major and minor stakeholders in the industry have to say, and looking to see how we can address it. One of the things, however, and persons would know the association holds no punches, and we will continue speaking on issues that affect our membership and affect the health sector, in spite of who is in government at the time. So that was one of the things, even though he would have asked for a grace period, opportunity to settle in the office. We are not so minded, particularly that Dr. Lakram Bodo comes from deep in the health sector, seeing that he was also a former chairman of Southwest Regional Health Authority, worked within the RHA. So he's very familiar, and we expect him to hit the ground running and signal positive intentions in terms of addressing some 21 points we would have raised with him. Chief amongst those points. Sorry?
You go ahead.
Yeah, chief amongst those points we try to impress on him is the fact that he ought to not make the situation worse. He ought not to make the healthcare sector worse off. He ought not to make the nursing shortage worse off. He's not to create further burnout amongst nursing personnel, which leads to more errors, more falls, more bed sores, more mortality, increases in mortality and morbidity rates. So that was our major point. And that really stemmed from what? It stemmed from, as he indicated, and he reminded us, the Prime Minister's pet project of the Couva Children's Hospital and fully operationalizing that organization. But
I suppose, Idi, that's a good point to segue into the issue of the nursing shortage. I know that has been a constant feature over the last few years, the issue of the shortage of nurses. Has it plateaued in terms of the loss of nurses now, or is it a continuing problem with nurses migrating, etc., outside of Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, it has gotten worse. And it has gotten worse in three main ways. One, nurses continue to go. Two, we have seen a reduction in the number of nurses being successful at the entrance exam into nursing. So you have a reduction of nurse persons into the profession, and I'll talk about that after. And then thirdly, both administrations are continuously bringing on new facilities, thereby further stretching the already exhausted nursing complements. Yeah, so it has gotten worse over the years, and it was highlighted. And I try to avoid using my own words. I would want to use the words of the 5 CEOs of the RHAs who were before a joint select committee only last year, where they confirmed the shortage of nursing personnel and the difficulty in staffing the units. The CEOs of all RHAs admitted in the joint select committee, one can pull up those records, only last year, that they are indeed finding difficulty. I would also want to quote the PAHO report into the deaths of the 8 babies last year, March, when an independent international organization, who the very Ministry of Health called upon to do an examination as to what were the reasons. And they clearly identified that the number one reason for those babies' deaths was the shortage of nursing personnel. We had a 29 compliance rate. Out of a maximum of 100% compliance, we were at 29 compliance rate when it came to staffing the NICU units. So imagine that. We are at a 29 compliance rate for staffing the NICU department, cited as one of the main reasons for those babies' deaths. And on top of that, we seeking to open even more units. Now, nowhere in that PAHO report indicated that we were short of facilities. Nowhere in that report into those babies' deaths, those unfortunate babies' deaths. So we did not address the shortage of nursing staff, but we seeking to address a problem that was not identified.
So the issue of the current government, of course, have indicated that they're going to repurpose the Couva Hospital to being a children's hospital. I know the last government had it earmarked as a teaching hospital. You were never sure where it was at after COVID. We know it was utilized for COVID. But after COVID, post-COVID, you kind of were never sure what was going on at the Couva Hospital. At least I wasn't sure. I don't know if anybody was. you kind of just didn't know what was going on at the Couva Hospital. Could people go in? Could they not go in? You just didn't know. And they are now saying that they're going to make it a children's hospital. What is the Nursing Association's position on that?
Well, firstly, we in Trinidad and Tobago are in love with names. So calling general hospitals teaching hospitals, or calling general hospitals children hospitals, it's just a name and a label that we are placing on it. In truth and in fact, we probably don't have any teaching hospitals in Trinidad and Tobago, period. Even though they call the San Fernando Teaching Hospital, it's really not a teaching hospital. When one looks at what a teaching hospital is, first to begin, it teaches. And it is not that you have nursing schools or medical schools or dentistry schools just sending their students into those facilities for experience and you would name it a teaching hospital. It means that that institution itself is known for in-depth research. That institution has its own faculty that when students come to it, it can provide its own faculty to oversee them and gain them that experience. One second.
Yeah, I think a call came in and interrupted his flow. I believe he's using his cell phone and a call came in. Yeah. I was about to ask him to. Are you there, Richard? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Idi, you back?
Yes.
Okay. You can put,
at no point in time somebody decides to cut grass, send the clock anybody. Yes. So at no point in time, so we just generally, I would really like to hear any of whether it's past or current administrations indicate and demonstrate any of our facilities are really teaching hospitals. When you look at the definition of what a teaching hospital is, would have to have meaning. What is different with a San Fernando teaching hospital compared to any other hospital in Trinidad and Tobago? There's no difference. So that's one. Two, what is a children's hospital? What is a pediatric hospital? What type of staff would you have in that hospital as opposed to another hospital? Are you supposed to have specific specialized equipment that is in that hospital that doesn't exist anywhere else in Trinidad and Tobago? Clearly, that hospital doesn't have that. Secondly, is it that you have specialist staff on the payroll? Do we have pediatric nurses? Do persons in Trinidad and Tobago understand? We do not have a single cohort of specialized nurses being trained in Trinidad and Tobago, whether it's pediatric, neonatal, trauma, intensive care. We have no cohorts, so there's no nursing school currently training any category of specialized nurses as we speak. None. And furthermore, so where are these pediatric nurses coming from? I mean, immediately upon assuming office, we would have heard that they're going to recruit persons. Okay, they indicated, the Nursing Association say, yes, we really don't have any schools teaching persons as we speak because we have not invested in that. So we will bring in nurses from abroad. Really and truly, that is a non-starter. First to begin, nursing in Trinidad and Tobago, nursing personnel continue to work on 2013 salaries. And even before that, we were one of the lowest paid, even in the region, far less internationally. So once you begin at that point, who is going to come to Trinidad and Tobago from? Because the only place really has surplus of nurses is places like Nigeria, Philippines, India, and Cuba. So the first three countries, they're not going to come to Trinidad and Tobago because why would I come to Trinidad and Tobago as a Nigerian nurse, as a Philippines nurse, as an Indian nurse, when I can earn 3, 4, 5 times the amount of income if I go to America, England, all the other countries that are demanding of nursing personnel, because they have a patient to staff ratio mandate that they must maintain. So why would I come to Trinidad and Tobago? So they are not coming. So long ago, when I was doing nursing, we had a plethora of foreign nurses. That is no more. The second place we used to get nurses from is Cuba. And well, we know what the United States have indicated with regards to bringing in Cuban nurses. They are not in favor, and they're going to restrict visas for government officials if they continue in that route. And we would have heard the very government of the day, when in opposition, condemning the sitting government for bringing in Cubans, and they said, "We told you so. You're not to bring Cubans anymore." And then as soon as assuming office, they're saying they're going to get Cuban nurses. So that's a non-starter also. So we now are forced to rely on ourselves to bring on the required number of nursing personnel. And as I said, we don't have them.
But of course, it's going to be a problem, because if you're opening, you have 2 facilities on the horizon beyond those that are already opened on whatever level, and I'm talking here about Sangre Grande, its expansion, Arima, Point Fortin, and Roxborough, and then you have the Couva Hospital now, and you have the Central Block in Port of Spain in the short future. So how is all of that going to work in terms of the nurse staffing shortage? I mean, how is it? Was Dr. Lakram Bodo concerned? But I mean, he's involved in the healthcare sector. He must know.
Yes. Yes, I believe he demonstrated concern. Yes. So, but he did indicate that, look, the Children's Hospital is a pet project of the Prime Minister. She wants it open, so they have to find a way to open it. And when we speak about developed and developing countries, I think this is a perfect example of how the difference between a developed and a developing country, where we don't make policies based on facts. We don't make policies based on need, on resources, if we can afford it. We just make policies based on emotion. So I guess we will continue suffering in that realm, and it will take.
You weren't optimistic in terms of your overall interaction with.
No. It is clear that the intention is to get it open, in spite of what is said by any other group. This is a campaign promise, so we're going to meet this promise. But what we are focusing on, seeing that you are saying every promise you have made on the campaign trail, you're going to fulfill it. Well, we would definitely hold you to account, and we hope the country does not. We hope the country understands when the association, seeing that the signals being sent by the sitting government that we have the money to open all these facilities and fulfill these grandiose campaign promises, then you must fill the campaign promise of settling wage negotiations beginning at 10%. And we hope no one in the country would indicate that the association is unreasonable and must be understanding of the resources of the country and all the crocodile tears. We would not be even contemplating settling for anything less than 10%. In fact, our negotiations, which is currently underway with the ERHA, is even higher than 10%, because over the years, nursing and midwifery personnel have not been paid as professionals. We have been paid as technicians. And the association has done a lot of work over the years to make sure we move from the technical class into the professional class. So every nurse you see coming out of school is coming out at the baccalaureate level. And a number of things we are doing in terms of continuing education and a number of other areas. So we deserve professional salaries going forward. You have signal, you have continuously signal, the country has money. You have signal, you don't need property tax. You have done away with that. You have signaled you're opening the UE Law Campus. And whether or not we need more lawyers in the country, I guess persons could answer that question very easily. You have signaled we need a new children's hospital, even though we have enough space in the existing Wendy Fitzwilliam Children's Hospital and the San Fernando units and in Grande and in Tobago. So you have signaled we can afford it. So we expect you to afford our increases in salary just the same way. Yeah?
You know what puzzles me, Idi? Sorry, Wendell. Just one more question and then I'll pass over to you, Wendell. What puzzles me is that in countries where you have, that supply and demand issue that always features in economics, and you have a supply and demand problem in Trinidad and Tobago in terms of nurses, okay? There's a bigger demand than there is supply. So therefore, you would want to keep your nurses and you would want to make the nursing profession as attractive as possible because you realize it's a direct effect on the public health sector in the country. And the public health sector is an important, super important component. In fact, it's one of the top 3 things that people talk about in terms of election, the issue of health, because you never know when you're going to have to go into a public health facility and what you're going to meet.
Correct.
I don't understand why governments, and I'm speaking broadly here, don't prioritize that nurses need to be paid better because we have a supply-demand problem. So in order to retain who we have here and to attract people in, it's a numbers problem.
Correct. And one of the things we have recognized is that you must be able to influence the leader. And that leader is the Prime Minister, for you to get tangible improvements in whatever sphere you are focusing on. So even though we have met with the Minister of Health, our ultimate goal is to meet with the Prime Minister. Because we would have witnessed that in the last government. The only successes we would have achieved within the health sector and on behalf of nursing and midwifery personnel is when we went direct to the head. When we went to either Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley or Honorable Stuart Young at the time, Prime Minister at the time. That is the only time we achieved improvements. The then Minister of Health would only pay lip service. You go to a meeting, first begin, it was never a case where the Minister of Health saw the need to call in the Nursing Association as the largest group within the health sector. He never saw the need to call in the Nursing Association. It was always the association raising an issue in the public domain and lobbying the minister and coming to a meeting. So when that meeting was always defensive. So any point we raised, he would try to find a way to counter that point. So he was listening to respond, not listening to understand and try to resolve an issue. And it really went nowhere for 9 years. So we wasted 9 years. And it's only when we bypass the minister and go to the Prime Minister on an issue like permanency of employment. Imagine the then Minister of Health couldn't care less that nursing personnel were working on short-term temporary employment without the ability to get a gratuity at the end of their tenure or a pension. So we have nurses who would have retired not getting a gratuity or a pension as we speak. And so how can you have a rational conversation with somebody like that? How is it possible? So we had to bypass, and as the Prime Minister of the day, who actually said, look, that cannot continue, and he sought to address it. And it is being currently addressed. It still have a lot of nurses on these temporary employment, particularly in Northwest Regional Health Authority, but the protest has started to regularize it. And that's the kind of situations we have been faced with. So the only way we see, even though, and the Honorable Dr. Lakram Bodo indicated, look, this is really a project of the Prime Minister. So we already identified that we have to, and we have already requested a meeting with the Honorable Prime Minister to be able to highlight our concerns.
But how do you address the shortage of nurses? How do you train? Is it that we're going to end up with people who are not properly trained or qualified going into these hospitals? Is that the risk we run?
No, well, as I made a comment yesterday on a radio program, persons are experiencing firsthand the fallout as we speak. And sadly, I envision, I don't want it to happen, but sadly, it will happen. It would take another multiple baby deaths for this situation to be placed on the front burner and be finally corrected. And I say that, not that, and I want to reiterate, it's not that I want it to happen, but it is the only thing that jolts a population. It's the only thing that catches the population attention is when babies die. Because as we speak, we have several deaths on a daily basis, several errors occurring on a daily basis in the general setting for adults. And it's no concern because persons have the mindset for some reason that when you go in the hospital, there's a 50-50 chance you could die or you could come out. And they have accepted that, kind of almost in a strange, I can't understand it. You go in for simple procedures and you come out worse off sometimes. And we are in the belly of the beast, and we are telling you we are seeing these things. And we are seeing, for instance, I'm dealing with a matter as we speak, where there was a medication error for a child. Medication error as we speak. And it stemmed from clearly a shortage of nursing staff. There was one registered nurse on duty to 19 children. 19 children. Just to give you a comparison internationally, it would be 1 to 2 or 1 to 3, maximum 1 to 4 if it's low, if the cases are not critical. This one nurse have to see about 11 critical children and 8 other children who are not as critical. So imagine that. And they had to call out a nurse from home to come and supplement and work with that nurse. So it ended up with 2 nurses for these 20 children. Now, obviously, as we have indicated, as the literature has indicated, that is going to lead to errors. And indeed, it leads to errors. And what the administration do? Come down on the nurse who came out to support their colleague. And this is a repeated action that is taking place within our nation hospital. Errors would occur.
But that's scary, Idi. I mean, it's scary because for parents listening, they'll be like, what the hell? I mean, because if your child is coming into the public health sector, you want to make sure that they're getting the best care possible. So, I mean, it's scary, and it's obviously something that the Ministry of Health is going to have to address. I think the nursing shortage issue it's in crisis mode. It's probably in crisis mode for several years now.
Yeah.
But it's people's lives.
Correct. And you say public, but even more is private also. Because just yesterday, I mean, sitting as the head of the association, you get to find out every single thing that is happening in the health sector. Because all the issues come to us, all the issues. And I told the minister that on Monday. We would be aware of issues you would not be aware of. Because your administrators would hide things from you because they don't want to look bad. So, and he understood that, and they definitely would have given us, they would have definitely given us the ability to we have their phone number so we could send them information one-on-one. I have a situation where an unregistered nurse, well, a patient care assistant really and truly, is given IV infusions in a private hospital as we speak. This person, patient care assistants, work quite well on the wards in our nation, but really and truly, they don't have any formal training as we speak. They have no standardized training. That is something we are seeking to fix and address. At least they must go through a formalized training, and COSTAT has actually started formalized training, and the association also, and YTEP also has formalized training. But generally, you can go to any of these private nursing homes or private hospitals, and the persons you see in white are not actually nursing personnel. They're actually patient care assistants off the street, and the facility gives them some quick crash course, and they begin to perform as if they are nursing personnel. And that is an extreme concern for our nursing staff. And expectantly, if you are not formally trained to give IV treatment, you're going to cause errors. And so said, so done. In this private hospital, this has taken place. And what they're trying to penalize that PC for you placing that PC in positions that PC ought not to be in. And again, we reiterated to the Minister of Health, these are the type of things that are happening on a daily basis. And he, as Minister of Health, is not only responsible for the public sector, he's also responsible for the private sector, according to the Private Hospitals Act. Yeah?
Well, this is where we're going to have to leave it. We're going to have to leave it here for this morning because, time has more than cropped up on us.
Yeah.
But obviously, these are conversations we need to continue to have with you because this has to change.
Yeah.
All right.
And
it has to change.
I wanted to ask this question quickly, Richard. How could a patient recognize that this person is not so qualified? And I'm asking a personal question here. You know why? Because in the month of January, I had no less than 5 times they had to put IVs in my system, and I didn't know. I just trust the person doing it that they qualified.
And all you have to do, it's law. It's in the patient charter of rights. People must identify themselves even before you ask them. So, and then also in the public sector, you're supposed to have your ID on you. So that's mandated. So they post after that. In the absence of that, or even in the private sector, which the patient charter of rights also applies to, once you ask them, and you could ask them, are you a registered nurse? And what is your license number? Every nurse supposed to have to operate. You must have a license number. So nurses will have a license number. That means they can practice interdependently with their colleagues. So they must be give their RN number or their RMN number. ENAs must work underneath a nurse. Yes, they must work supervised by a nurse. Nurse must give them instructions accordingly. And they will also have a number. Patient care assistants don't have any numbers because they are not regulated under the nursing council. They don't have any licensure. So they cannot do the patient care assistants actually are not supposed to touch patients, actually. They are supposed to bring in meals, emptying bedpans, stuff like that. They are not actually supposed to touch patients. So they are supposed to be dealing with IVs, period, or given any medication, period. Unfortunately, particularly in the private sector, they do. Yeah?
They do. All right, that's why we're going to have to leave it this morning, Idi. And of course, feel free to come reach out to us if you need to discuss anything concerning this because, this has to change and it has to get better. It cannot remain as is.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate you taking the time to talk with us.
Take care.
All right. Of course, this is where we wrap it up on the breakfast show this morning, because of course we'll have to forego news at 8 a.m. this morning, and just wrap up the show because we are way past our time. So have a fantastic day, whatever you're doing, and remember to smile and laugh. It's great for your health.
All right, folks, remember one life, live it. Be careful out there today.
Right, this has been The Breakfast Show.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Wake up, it's a brand new dawn. The Breakfast Show got the vibes